What I learned as I grew older from all of my light-bearing predecessors is when to fall out of line.
I hope to make all different kinds of movies in my career, big and small. But I think they always have to have that element of adventure because it's the way I get my kicks.
We are creatures of constant awe.
Who is your personal Woman of the Year?
I would have to say my grandmother. She's about to make 100 in April. Yeah, and I mean, she's just an incredible woman. She taught our family love, togetherness. My family were very, very close.
I was going to choose my grandma because she's the reason why I'm here, and I kind of follow through her footsteps.
I am delighted to welcome all of you to the 2024 Time Women of the Year Gala. What an extraordinary group here tonight. We have pioneers, visionaries, activists, artists, and business leaders. Women who are working towards a more equitable world.
I can think of no better way to start than with the one and only Greta Gerwig. Everybody should know, with this year's Academy Awards, Greta has made history as the first director to have their first 3 solo films nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Which is truly incredible. And as she discussed with my colleague Sam Lansky, who is here tonight, in her Women of the Year profile, Greta is already taking on another massive project, an adaptation of the Chronicles of Narnia. So, please welcome Greta Gerwig. Let's start with that incredible Oscars history-making feat. First director to have their first 3 solo movies nominated for Best Picture. What do you make of that? What does that mean to you?
I mean, it's extraordinary. I'm incredibly grateful that the Academy has recognized the films I've made, and I think I was actually just talking about this with Sam at the table. I think one of the things about the guilds, the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild, the Actors Guild, and the Academy and the different branches in the Academy is that filmmaking is it's a craft that's passed from person to person, and there's a community that springs up around being part of a union and also being recognized by your peers. And it's like an opportunity to talk to your heroes and have them, be there to guide you to whatever the next step is you want to do. And I've found that the greatest part of being recognized by the Academy is that community of filmmakers.
I love that community, and I wanted to ask you, in terms of paying it forward, we're here celebrating women who have achieved amazing things and women who are on the rise. Are there any women in filmmaking who you are particularly excited about, whose work you want us all to pay attention to and help amplify?
Oh, yes. I mean, I just said this tonight, but there's the filmmaker that I love right now is an Italian filmmaker, Alice Rohrwacher, who's made many wonderful movies, and she's just great, and her movies are great, and you'll love them. Go watch them. It made me so happy when I saw her film. I think it's coming out next year, but it was at Cannes, La Chimera, and I was euphorically happy. It was a movie that could have only been made by her, and she's just terrific. And I think I go to the movies all the time, and I always hope that the thing I see is that's it.
A film that only she could make. What is a Greta Gerwig film? Because it feels like every movie that you've made has been bigger and more ambitious than the last one. Should we expect you to keep getting big, more ambitious, bigger swings?
Well, I think I find that I think the great thrill that I get is kind of figuring out how to build my wings on the way down. Just kind of leaping from the tallest thing I can find and say, I believe that I will build the skills that I need as I go. And I hope to make all different kinds of movies in my career, big and small. But I think they always have to have that element of adventure, because it's the way I get my kicks.
Well, Narnia seems like the perfect project then for you to be working on next, right?
Yes, kicks with the lion.
Yes, Kicks with the Lion and magic and
It's all of the things.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely, sometimes because I write and I direct, and I'll write things that I genuinely sit back and I think, I have no idea how I'm actually going to accomplish that. And that's actually the most exciting feeling, because then you kind of gather people and you gather your designers and your heads of departments, and everybody kind of figures out something that's never been done before. And that's thrilling.
when you're adapting something that has already been made, like Little Women or like Narnia, do you study those existing films? Do you ignore them completely?
No, I think, well, Little Women in particular, because it's, obviously a book that meant so much to me, and then it also had been realized in films so beautifully so many different times that in a way with Little Women I felt like I wasn't just adapting the text, I was sort of adapting the text of all of the movies. And I felt that also I was trying to take into account who Louisa May Alcott was. And the thing that I kept coming back to, and this is also true of Barbie, and it's true of Lady Bird or Frances Ha or Narnia, is I think as a writer, it's always helpful for me to continually remind myself of the thing that I'm deeply interested in. And for example, with Little Women, the thing I kept telling people and the thing I kept saying that I was like, oh, you've got to know this, which was true, is Louisa May Alcott kept her copyright, which was so smart, and no one was doing that, and she made so much money. And she also didn't want to end her book with Joe getting married, but her publisher said, well, it'll sell better. And so she said, all right, I'll do it, but I'll keep the copyright. And I was like, that's great. And I think I just kept repeating that over and over again, and I'm like, that's your story. That's your story. That's what you're interested in. And I think I always try to keep a North Star. My North Star is, what do I deeply love? What do I really care about? Like, what's the story underneath this story? And I think with Barbie, the story underneath this story was, I loved Barbie. I remember going to Toys R Us and looking at the Barbies, and I loved their hair, and I loved everything about them, and my mom was not sure about it. And I thought, that's the story. That's the generational story of, like, I want it, and then being, suspicious of it. And I think I'm always trying to find those undertows.
Would you care to tell us what that story is for Narnia?
No, that's just for me right now. It's just mine. But I have it. But it's, well, you'll see.
Greta, 0 to 100%, what is the likelihood that we get a Barbie sequel?
0 to 100%. I suppose. I think it depends. I think it depends on. What if I find the undertow, then we get it. If I don't find an undertow, then there's no more.
0 to 100%. What is the likelihood you find the undertow? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I think it's something that I loved making so much, and I loved the world that we built so much, and all of the actors, and the idea of getting to be with that group of people again is very exciting.
Yeah, I can imagine that. It is a movie that brought so many of us so much joy. Like, of course, in the theater, the experience of it, but also the jokes, like they live on, they took on a life of their own. Yeah. We have the hoodies, we have, Halloween was like Barbie all over again. Where do you go when you need a little bit of joy and levity?
Oh, well, I have to say, I agree. This sounds so egotistical, but I just arrived in LA today, and I was driving through Century City, and I laughed at my own joke. Yeah. That when Ken says, like, when you get out of your car at Century City, I can't believe how great this place is. and it tickles me so much still. I think it's such a funny line, and I can't believe it's in that movie. Because it's so specific, and no one's ever said that. But yeah, I think the joy and levity. I mean, I have a 5-year-old son, so it's very easy to find joy and levity if I just ask him any question and just watch his brain go. It's very joyful.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's really nice. We're all living in this world where we're constantly looking for what comes next, and just, I think it's hard for a lot of us to pause and kind of appreciate what we've already achieved and what we already have.
Especially if somebody's asking you from 0 to 100, how much is it going to happen? But yes.
It's my job to push you, Greta. But what's something that you want your future self to remember about this moment in your life and career?
Gosh, I think so much of. I hope that the thing I remember is how amazing and fun it is, and this sounds totally superficial, but when you go to these events and you put on clothes and part of you is like, oh, I don't know, is that I looked great. I look great.
Yes.
That's a sort of hard thing to feel all the time, and I think when I'm 80, I'll be like, look at you. You were 40. You look wonderful.
Well, you do, and so does everyone. And thank you so much, Greta. It's just been wonderful having you.
Thank you.
We asked our honorees to talk about what inspires them and give us insight into their journeys and their work. And we're so excited to hear from one of them right now.
She is the current Poet Laureate of the United States. She has published 6 renowned books of poetry, and much of her work focuses on the connection between humanity and the natural world. She was awarded a MacArthur Genius Grant in 2023, and this fall will have one of her poems launched into space. Please welcome 2024 Time Woman of the Year, Ada Limon.
Tonight, I want to share with you the poem that I wrote that will be engraved on NASA's spacecraft, the Europa Clipper, in my own handwriting, that will travel 1.8 billion miles to the second moon of Jupiter. It is a poem about what connects us to one another. In praise of mystery. Arching under the night sky, inky with black expansiveness, we point to the planets we know. We pin quick wishes on stars. From Earth, we read the sky as if it is an unerring book of the universe, expert and evident. Still, there are mysteries below our sky. The whale song, the songbird singing its call in the bough of a wind-shaken tree. We are creatures of constant awe, curious at beauty, at leaf and blossom, at grief and pleasure, sun and shadow. And it is not darkness that unites us, not the cold distance of space, but the offering of water. Each drop of rain, each rivulet, each pulse, each vein. Oh, second moon, We too are made of water, of vast and beckoning seas. We too are made of wonders, of great and ordinary loves, of small, invisible worlds, of a need to call out through the dark. Thank you.
Good evening. Being here tonight and standing in front of all of you is an incredible honor. The women in this room are my role models. And for me to be asked to share a few words with you, that's crazy. Seriously. When I started playing tennis at the age of 6, my dad, who's here with me tonight, told me, "You can change the world with your racket." And I believed him. I believed him because the women in my life and the women in this room who showed me that a little girl with big dreams can go on to do great things. My grandmother, Yvonne, was the first Black woman to integrate the Delray Beach school system, has encouraged me to use my platform for positive change and to never underestimate the impact of my voice. Venus and Serena Williams, who through their resilience, passion, and greatness, paved the way for athletes like me to dream big and chase those dreams. Michelle Obama, the epitome of grace, strength, and empowerment, taught me that it's okay to say no and to be thoughtful about how and where I focus my impact. And the list goes on and on and on. Tennis has provided me with an opportunity to pass that belief on to young girls who see themselves in me. Each and every day, I get the chance to connect with the next generation of influential women. Girls who came up to me at tournaments or reach out on social media, girls who are confident and fearless, girls who are proud to celebrate who they are, embrace their identity, and stay true to themselves. Last December, I was given the honor of being the Grand Marshal of the Delray Beach Holiday Parade, and riding through that parade, it hit me that 63 years ago, my grandmother had to fight for girls like me to even have fair education. And now, generations later, I'm able to make my own impact on that same city, but only because of what she accomplished. Waving to the young girls in tennis, knowing that my presence and influence of what they see in their own lives is incredibly meaningful. And yet, I turned 20, and in just about a week, I'm still a teenager, I'm still learning to use my voice, and I'm still being inspired by all the great women around me, and the spotlight on empowering women and supporting each other. Our impact is strongest when we work together. Thank you for inspiring me, thank you for believing in me, and thank you for showing me that the sky's the limit, and no matter our age, let's continue to dream big together. Thank you.
Thank you to Time Magazine for recognizing me, and congratulations to my fellow Women of the Year. Since receiving this honor, I have thought a lot about what feminism means to me, and what it means to be included alongside this incredible list of accomplished women. I grew up in Iraq in a quiet, peaceful rural village. There were no activists or women that referred to themselves as feminists. I don't think anyone ever used the word feminism. In fact, I don't think I knew what the word feminist meant. Life was practical, focused on day-to-day tasks like taking care of the farm and raising children. We knew little of the world outside of our village, and the world knew very little, if anything, about us. That all changed when we were violently attacked by ISIS. ISIS tried to destroy the women of my community, but many of us survived to tell our story. And what I know now is that I was surrounded by feminists growing up. Powerful, strong-willed women who were always pushing for change. Women who left bad marriages at great risk to themselves. Women who didn't have the chance to go to school but worked hard every day to send their children to school. Women who believed in equality and worked to be recognized in the community. Women who dedicated their lives, no matter what the risk, to ensure that their daughters' lives would be better. Women like my mother, who left an unhappy marriage and raised 11 children on her own, who fought the stigma of divorce with humor and determination. And she taught me that women can be the head of a household. Women who fought the terrorists, women who had the courage to escape captivity, women that returned from refugee camps to rebuild their homeland. I am grateful to all of the women of my village, Kojo, who unknowingly taught me to be an activist. I dedicate this award to all the young women like me who were raised in vulnerable communities by strong women. Thank you so much.
I tried to be the light on stage, hoping to burn a fire in someone's heart so they'd never forget to dream, to remember, to empathize, to be enraged, to feel something, anything. But I don't take the credit for this. I've always been clear that I'm being used. We're all being used as conduits for change, allowing the energy and light to flow through and manifest anew. Now, some of us focus on the good energy and some of us not so good, but we won't say names. I'm just gonna sit in my seat, focus on the chalkboard, and bubble in the answer this time. See what I did there? Yeah. Still the in-house entertainer. I admit those lessons have helped me in some situations, but what I learned as I grew older from all of my light-bearing predecessors is when to fall out of line. From Black women leading the way to freedom from the swampy terrains of the South, to women organizing countless movements for equality and our rights, I want every woman to demand the windows in the room. Make paper airplanes out of those papers we draw bubbles on when you're not invited or not giving a seat at the table. In spite of it all, we must still make room for the light. To my fellow recipients, congratulations. Congratulations, you rock, all of you. It's an honor to share this space with you. And let's continue to light the pathway for every human to access his inherent right to safety, belonging, and dignity. Keep setting the world on fire with your light. It is needed. Burn, baby, burn. Thank you so much. I'm so honored. Thank you.
You know, I think there's a lot of people out there telling young women and girls that they, aren't going to amount to anything. And I always tell them to advocate for themselves. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, then no one else will. So be your #1 supporter.